Pei Si is currently the CEO of GX Bank Malaysia, the first digital bank in the country. Opened its doors in September 2023, and her role sees her leading a team of dynamic financial professionals and technologies who are passionate about transforming and redefining financial services. And in moments of self-doubt, what keeps you motivated to push forward?
When do you know that you're making a right decision? When you're not sure if that information and that decision making is played out to the public. Will I be proud, or will my children be proud of what I'm going to do?
This is Season 3 of Live Confessions. I'm Frida Liu. Pei Si is currently the CEO of GX Bank Malaysia, the first digital bank in the country. The startup bank opened its doors in September 2023, and her role sees her leading a team of dynamic financial professionals and technologies who are passionate about transforming and redefining financial services. They aim to make financial services more inclusive and catering to the needs of all, including the unbanked, underbanked and underserved segments. Nice to be speaking to you, Pei Si. This is very interesting, right? Because you come from your traditional banking space, right?
Yeah.
What inspired you to take on the challenge of leading GX Bank, which is Malaysia's first digital bank?
Well, I was, like you said, I was in a traditional bank for like more than 20 years. So when the call came to say, would you like to lead a digital bank in Malaysia? Really three things came to my mind. First is that, the privilege of being able to start something from scratch is an enormous one. Right? And to be able to lead that actually right from the start, right? It was truly an opportunity that I think a long-time banker that I was, right? Learning actually through the ropes and being able to be in that driving seat to design right from the beginning was such a privilege.
Right.
So that's really the first. The second is that the mandate of leading a digital bank in Malaysia is a pretty special one. It talks about not only bringing technology to the fore, it's also about being able to serve a segment of population whom are less banked, who are actually underserved. And I find that mission incredibly it connects with me. It truly connects, right? Because I have seen, over my last many years, right, working and see how being able to be helped by the financial institutions,
Right.
how does that help, right, to transform lives? And that is extremely, extremely meaningful. And in a place like Malaysia, there are still that large portion
Right.
of the populations is yet to be truly served, right, with the financial services that we have, right? That's number two. Number three, as you know, GX Bank is a joint venture between GX Bank in Singapore as well as Quad Group in Malaysia. And I got the opportunity to understand a lot more about Grab, what they do, what they stand for. I was not only intrigued, but I was truly inspired by how Grab runs a business, and therefore how they want to actually potentially build a bank to serve the mission of what Grab is.
Right.
So, I actually said it in one of the other segments. I worked there for 20 over years, but it truly, I think, took me 3-4 days to just make a decision to make that change.
Right. To take that leap.
To do that leap, and it was truly a leap of faith.
Right.
Right, at a point, because going from a traditional setup to a completely new fintech, do not know what that setup it was at that point because we're still kosong, right?
Right.
Was truly a leap, but it's a leap that I think with what the mission was, with the empowerment and the privilege that we have, I think that made the leap a little bit less scary, but still scary.
Right, and I think it is digital banking is a game changer, and if to be able to do that, right, personally, and make that change, I guess it is very satisfying. I'm listening to you, and I can feel the passion of what you try to do as well. Now, how did your experiences in traditional banking prepare you for building a fully digital bank from the ground up?
It does and it does not. I'd be very honest. So it does because, in my case, I have spent more than 20 years, right, in traditional bank. And I did everything right from bottoms up. So you really do learn the 101s of banking. You learn what it takes to just be, what's the common sense? And we know, right, common sense is not always common. So that's really the case. So you know what it takes to just run a good bank, right? And that's important because ultimately we're a bank that we need to be able to serve customers in a regulated environment and also to inspire trust from customers. And so that part of knowing how a bank works, in my case, going through more than 13 roles in my previous organization and being able to get that breadth of that experience. It's important to bring the common sense into the building of the bank. Now, that's the plus. The minuses are that because when you're in a traditional bank, you are in a structure that with a bureaucracy, with a way of thinking that it's been there for the last many, many, many centuries. So what that meant is that as I tried to transition into a new startup, a new fintech, that old ways of thinking is not always the right way of thinking. So we always say this, we go in to transfer skill sets, right? And therefore to bring that value. But many of us are moving from one place to another. I think same with technologists going to a bank in our bank or bankers going to a startup bank like ours. I will have to learn new things. We need to relearn the things that we previously learned. And actually, more importantly, I find for many bankers, it's about unlearning.
Unlearning, huh?
Yeah, and that's a tough one.
Right.
Because many of us had so many years of experience. We think that we are the smartest person in the room. And I think I must say for probably 400 of us now actually in the bank, we all know that we are truly not the smartest person in the room. It's a combination of us, right?
Right. And so there's now 400, and most of would have financial background, or you try to get a mix?
Oh, we tried to get a mix. It was pretty conscious, honestly. So, like I said, I had the privilege of starting. Right? So I was employee number one, and I got to almost put down on paper exactly what type of profile we wanted. So we do have 50% bankers. It was deliberate because we needed the bankers, but we needed also the non-bankers.
Right.
So we got 50% technologists, right? And it's an interesting mix, but I think it's when the mix comes together and is effective, it's quite magical.
Right. So GX Bank aims to serve the unbanked and underbanked, right? And of course, it's about financial inclusion. What does financial inclusion mean to you personally?
For me, it's certainly about giving access to a segment of population who do not have the same access. Like I'm pretty privileged as you and I, right? And then with that access that they have and the education they have, give them the leg up to be able to progress in their own lives. Because there are so many life cycle, different parts of life cycle that you need help in. And not everyone has that ability to always have the equal access.
We take it for granted, and I'm saying we.
Yes,
right?
Absolutely, right. I come from probably middle class background, and I already find myself very, very lucky because my mom, who has passed away now, she lived in that era where a woman whom at 13 years old, her parents would say, hey, I want to educate the boys and not you. Right. And then because she is who she is, she's driven. So she went to a principal and said, I really, really want to study.
Right.
Can you help me? Right. And I think the principal then went like, yeah, I can help you. You do have to pay for school fees, but why don't I let you give tuition to my little kids, right? Whom are the 6 to 9 years old.
Right.
And so that you've got the school fees to continue with studies.
Wow, how resourceful.
Yeah, but the thing is, it needed someone.
To
whom obviously the principal didn't need my mother,
right,
who was a 13-year-old girl,
right,
to give tuition to her kids.
right,
But she did,
right.
right? It's about, I think, it's about giving the leg
Link
up,
up.
right? And there are many, many instances, I think, in our community that everybody gives a leg up, right? And then how do we actually, as institution, as industry, right, give the leg up to, I think, portions of these communities who themselves want to be able to progress, but they do not have the opportunity to do so. How do we do that? And then there are plenty of opportunities, especially when we're in a position that we're able to design in scale. Yeah. So the digital banks, Bank Negara coming up with a digital bank licensing framework is not only about have 5 banks out there be completely digital end to end, but it's also being able to provide new ways of doing in the banking industry, such that for those who are today left behind will have a leg up that they didn't previously have. So I think it's a mission that all of us in the digital bank fraternity, and obviously the financial industry as well, but more so in the digital bank, because it's truly our mandate to start.
I guess also what moment in your career made you realize the transformative power of technology in finance?
I'm old enough, honestly, right? So I work in, I live in an era where the evolution of technology, we've seen it. I've seen when it was a pager.
Yes, I was there.
Where's the rotary phone, right? And then
there was a telex machine.
That's right. And then the pager, and then you've got the big, large brick phones, and then now, of course, the smartphones, right?
Yeah.
So to a large extent, I think for me, technology has just creeped. Has just creeped. And we just accepted it as time went, right? But what truly like wow me, actually, honestly, when with technology is when COVID happened.
Right.
At a point in time, was running a local operations here in Malaysia. Nobody even wanted to touch cash.
Yeah. Right? Yeah.
Yeah. I remember the tellers, right, in the branches had to wear gloves, right, to touch the cash.
Right.
And at a point in time, if it's not because of technology, many of our customers, as well as our staff, would not been able to either bank or to be able to do the work, to be continuously to be able to serve our customers. So technology in that sense has been truly transforming in a day, right? Everything turned digital.
Right.
So that's one. The second is actually quite recent. I mean, I always understood that technology is you're able to scale. I always knew it. So when we started the bank, we had really, I call it audacious ambitions.
Okay.
And when we first started, we were like, okay, in a year we're going to get to 1 million users. We weren't like that, but we truly didn't know how to get there.
Okay.
It's like that, right? You want to plan for audacious goals, and it's only audacious if you don't know actually how to get there day one. Right? That's what that is. Now, of course, when we went on the audacious goal of 1 million, we never knew we could do it, and we planned to do it, but we don't know how to do it. And like we said earlier, in our pre-session, now we're at 1 million customers, 1 million users. And 1 million users, this means for us, is like almost 100,000 users are served new every month. It's an incredible number if it's not for technology. We wouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
It's not for tech. Because we have taken traditional bank decades to get to the 1 million. If it's taken them years to get to 100,000. So in that way, I think technology enables scale, enables the ability to provide access, makes it so much more convenient. Therefore, imagine what else we can do with it, right? And probably the last thing is we are an organization that loves to bring in new technology and experiment with them, right? So when we had enough transactions, with enough volume, enough data, then we went like, okay, let's try to see how we can make life better for even our own staff. So a typical transaction, we call it like fraud transaction for us to check and monitor. It takes us like 15 minutes just to gather all the information about a user and then make a decision of what to do next. What we've done and been able to do is apply Gen AI, apply machine learning, bring the data. Now that collating of the information to enable our staff to do that work is no longer 15 minutes. All it takes is 1.5 minutes.
Right. Okay. So, how do you foster a culture of innovation while keeping the customer experience at the forefront? Are the customer expectations different or same? I know we still want things fast. We still want things convenient.
I think the customer, what customer wants and needs, it doesn't evolve that much. Right. But the expectations does change because the standards keep on going up when you have good competition.
Right.
So I remember when we first started building the bank and bringing customers in, we went up because we're the first digital bank. So we went out and said, okay, you get this done in 4 minutes. We can open an account. You don't need to visit a branch. Go to the app, which is in your phone, and have it open in 4. And they came, we opened in 4. Right? But very, very soon, everybody else could open in 4 and under. So now I'm sure our users are no longer saying that, opening an account in 4 minutes is a big thing. Because it isn't, because the expectation does change.
Right.
So that's one. As to your original question, how do you keep innovation as well as customer in place?
Expectations, yeah.
I think it's about first the culture, the mission, the purpose. So in our case, I know it can sound a bit cheesy, but we call ourselves GX Bank, so it's GXB, right? So G for us is really growing for good.
Okay.
Right? It means making sure that whatever we build for the good of the users, right? That's number one, and the community. X is solving for the X, solving for the problem. So we find a problem and we want to get it solved. B is bridging to bridge for the underserved.
Right.
So therefore, being able to put customer in the center, putting the user in the center, putting the underserved segment in the center is everything that we do.
Right.
It even comes out actually through our name. And innovation or technology, different ways of working is truly a means to get there. Right. So when the purpose is very clear, we don't innovate for the sake of innovation. We innovate to deliver that purpose.
A little life confessions, right? So a little bit about Pei Si herself,
Okay.
What personal sacrifices have you made to get where you are today, and were they worth it?
I wouldn't say it's personal sacrifices. I think you just make decisions along the way. I have a large family. I've got 4 children.
Oh, okay. Oh, all right.
And I've always been a working mom, right? And as I grew my family, now they're much bigger, but as I grew my family and manage the family at the same time, actually manage the career, just make decisions.
Right.
You make trade-offs. So there are days and many times where I cannot go for the recital. I cannot go for that sports event, right? Because I had to make sure that I attend to something at work.
Right.
But there are also many times I decided not to attend that social event that could potentially help me in my career.
Okay.
And there are plenty of those, right? As
Yes.
corporate citizens,
Yes.
right? No, I'm not going to do that because my evening time is not meant for the office.
Right.
It's meant for my family. So I won't say we have made sacrifice, but it's not, I won't call it sacrifice. We just made trade-offs. And it just, till now, I'm so, ultimately, I think I'm so proud of my kids, right? I'm so proud that they've grown up to not only to have a good head on their shoulders, they're confident, right? They are independent because they had to.
Yes. Right.
Right?
Yeah.
And I'm proud of also, I think, how we have, I think, as a family, managed their their entire life cycles.
Right.
Yeah.
And I like your perspective, right? It's not a sacrifice. Your perspective. It's a trade-off. But that's the thing, right? I mean, that's what happens when you have to build your career and at the same time raise your family, and that's what that's what it takes, right? And in moments of self-doubt, what keeps you motivated to push forward?
Just, there's always a test that it's like, when do you know that you're making the right decision, right? When you're not sure. The test will really be that if that information and that decision making is played out to the public,
Okay.
will I be proud, or will my children be proud of what I'm going to be, what they see and what they hear?
Right.
That's really my North Star. And because in many times, I think whether it's in business or in personal life, there will be decisions like that, that you're not sure where to go. So that is typically how I decide. Like, where you're like, I'm not sure at all, right?
Okay.
If I have to play it out, will it be out in the papers for
Right.
folks to see,
Right.
my children to see? Will they still be proud?
Okay.
Right.
Will my children still be proud, right? Okay, back to the whole concept of digital banking, right?
Yeah.
As someone shaping the next generation of financial services, what is your vision for a more financially inclusive society? What is that picture?
The picture would be one where I think, regardless of whether you is the richest man in the room or the less privileged, the least privileged one in the room, they both have the same access
Right.
to financial services and financial solutions in the same cost, in
Right.
terms of expense. First is access. Second is is at the same price. So to be able to commoditize, right, the solutions that today we reserve for the private banking
Yeah.
type of net worth type of clients,
Right.
to the very last person in that room, will be, I think, a wonderful place to be at. And that not only applies to individuals, but it also applies to businesses. I think with that commoditization,
Yeah.
everybody will then have the equal opportunity to achieve.
Do you have a story of someone, when you talk about the unbanked and the underserved and all that, do you have a story of someone who, because of this, their life has, made a positive difference?
I'm sure there are plenty, but I can tell you, I can share with you a story that what inspired at least many of us in the organization as we were trying to find to help the community. What is the first thing that we worked on?
Right.
We worked on in trying to get to education and education support for our for the next generation.
Right.
Because I think we believe as an organization and in a society that education does equalize the opportunity for everyone. So for me, what really struck me at that point in time was I was sitting in a Grab car. And as usual, I always ask our Grab partners, right, what's going on live, that's what I do. And this one happened to be, first it's like a rickety old car, right? So obviously, the driver, I think, struggles with keeping it up.
Right.
Okay, that's one. Two is so we started talking. She's a single mom, right? And she's got one young kid, like 8-year-old girl, right? And so the first thing she said, halfway through the journey, she went like, "Hey, I need to pump petrol. Okay, can you please let me pump petrol?"
Right.
I said, "Sure." Right. When I pump petrol, she pumped like 5 ringgit.
Okay.
Don't have a lot of cash, right?
Right.
And then the second thing, then we started talking more. Then she went like, my child, like 8-year-old, every day I give her 1 ringgit to spend in school. 1 ringgit now in the canteen
It's nothing.
does not get her anything,
Right.
right? But she's been saving and saving and saving. I mean, she doesn't eat, right? She just save her money. And that day I got so angry with her. She went like that. She took 3 ringgit from her savings and bought this little pink notebook.
Right.
And at that moment in time, I was truly, I was truly touched. Right, I was truly okay. At first, I was appalled. Then I was touched. I was appalled because here I am, right, with my 4 children.
Right.
2 of them are actually in university education overseas, right? And here is
It's 3 ringgit.
3 ringgit, and she was like, and this young girl, right, who really just probably also would keep up with her friends.
Right.
Didn't eat every day to buy a 3 ringgit pink little stationery that I sometimes buy and throw away.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm.
And then she went like, so one, I think, it's not only about giving the base education, it's also actually giving the confidence actually to the child.
Right.
To give that support. So therefore, we came up with bursaries that we're able to help children who just needed that little extra to even out actually with their friends, right, beyond the education itself. And then we went on to talk about, I said, what do you worry about? So at the end of the year, I got to buy textbooks.
Right.
So she worries about education, right? And as parents, we know, right? We really, that's all you work for. You work for your children. And I think from that, I think that one encounter, and I'm sure many of our staff also had many similar encounters like these. What we put our efforts is really actually behind how do we help and educate and give educational support, right, to the next generation. In this case, more specific actually to our gig workers, right, so that they will be able to help the next. So I think in many ways, being in the driver's seat that we are in, I think all 400 of us are actually there. Give us an opportunity to then work on things that truly touches us and hopefully actually make a difference.
Okay. Yeah. Final question. What legacy do you hope to leave behind in this space?
Oh, that's a difficult one. I'm not sure it's me specifically.
Right.
But I always tell my other staff, whomever that comes and actually work for us, and in the trenches with us every day. What we really want to do is 10 years later, right, as we look back, hopefully by then I'm no longer actually in GX Bank, fully retired, right? And I always say, GX Bank, that's the one that we built. We're proud of what we've built. We are making a difference to the community, right? And 3 is, and that's an important one, because ultimately things change. We must be able to build for future changes, to cater for new markets, right? To cater for new needs, right? And it will always evolve. So I'm not sure it's a legacy, but it's something that I think all of us strive for, to ensure that after 10 years, we can see that's something that we're very, very proud of.
All right. Well, all the best in your future endeavors. I've been speaking to Pei Si, the CEO of GX Bank. Of course, you've been watching Live Confessions Season 3.